Check out this statue here. It's really impressive. This drowning man being pulled out of the harbor. It's actually, depending on the tide, he's actually more or less drowning. Hey you all, I'm on a boat. Not just any boat though, we're setting out to see the Statue of Liberty. As you can see, the New York skyline fading behind me. So hop aboard the carpet ship and follow me. There we go. Lady Liberty herself. So big. Look at all those little tiny people down there.
Attention please.
There's like an insane giant drone flying over our boat. It's a little unnerving. It's the designer of the Statue of Liberty, Frederick August Bartholomew. One thing I find interesting about the statue is that in the 1880s, when it was built, it was a gift from France. They designed it, they handed it over to us free of charge, but America originally didn't want it, and it wasn't, they didn't appreciate the gesture. It's the only deal was, while France would provide the statue, it was up to America to provide the base. America was like, that seems expensive. That seems like that would take a lot of money to make a giant base for a massive statue. So they hemmed and hawed for quite a while until finally they agreed that they would accept the free gift from the lovely country of France and erect the Statue of Liberty here on Liberty Island. Another thing that really fascinates me is this, the statue was originally a brass color. On any statue that's green like that is covered in what's called a patina. It's actually microorganisms surround, and I think it react with the metal that is used to make statues. I forget the metal. I think copper, brass, something like that. Anyways, so yeah, this would have originally been like a shiny beacon. It would have been almost like a golden statue. And of course, because there was no color photography back then, we don't have any record of exactly what it looked like. I think it'd be really amazing to be able to catch a glimpse of what the Statue of Liberty originally looked like. Now, I really did want to get up and go inside the Statue of Liberty, but apparently to get those tickets is about as easy as getting tickets to see the Beatles. There's Ellis Island across the way from Liberty Island. I think a lot of people think the Statue of Liberty is on Ellis Island, but it's actually on an island of its own. Now, I do like these Statue of Liberty snow globes, but what's even better is this Mrs. Butterworth-esque Statue of Liberty full of maple syrup.
These new arrivals must have felt as the city's grand vista emerged above the waves.
In this steamy, creepy New York alley, looking for something in particular. It is known as the Mmuseumm. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. And here we go. The world's smallest museum. Not a lot of signage, just a tiny little plaque right here. A little plaque right there. Unfortunately, it's closed. I'd like to point out, yeah, no signage, just a little alley, but luckily they did cut some little slits in here so you can enjoy the museum while it is closed. Fortunately, I don't know what anything in there is because I can't read. I can read, I just can't read what the stuff is supposed to be. Looks like they have a collection of bread ties right there. There's some cell phones along this side. I don't know if they're historical cell phones or whatnot. Now they actually have a phone tour. Let's see if we can check that out. Let's see what it says here. Let's try unintentional villains.
Welcome to Mmuseumm. Looks can be deceiving. Unintentional villains. Objects that unintentionally cause the end of people's lives. International, 2017. Facsimiles from the collection of Mmuseumm. There's one thing we know for certain, and that is the fact that we will die. Usually we don't know when, how, or why. We try not to think about it. But we know for certain it's going to happen. Every person who has ever lived has died. And if they haven't yet, they will. At the same time, things are not always as they appear. What you may think of as a friend could actually be an enemy. What you think of as worthless could be invaluable. What you think of as helpful could be the cause of your demise. These unassuming objects all accidentally cause the end of someone's life.
Looks like there's a selfie stick, some dentures, ponytail of some sort. Yeah, here's the subjects. Wall of globalization, occuplanid, taxonomy, losing time, nothing is perfect, objects of collapse, insecure information, snoring and anti-snoring, powered by iPhone, world leader tissues, modern religion, the wall, unintentional heroes, unintentional villains, and nothing. Oop, nothing. Oh, and by the way, at approximately point whatever that is seconds after the Big Bang, the entire universe will fit in this museum. Always a major bummer when you go to a secret museum in an alley in New York and it's closed. Look at this. It's the firehouse from the Ghostbusters movie. Of course you can tell this because their logo actually uses a variation, the Ghostbusters logo. I don't know, it's like a ghost with a spear or a crowbar? Speaking of firehouses, let's check this out. The ambulance last rites kit. This was carried in an ambulance in Brooklyn. In the unfortunate case of someone dying in the ambulance, that they would be able to administer emergency last rites. This is not a firearm used to kill people. This is actually a firearm used to save people. It would fire almost like a grappling hook. There's a big round net used to save people's lives as they fell out of buildings. Sure, it's saved countless lives, but you can't help but think a little bit about, circus clowns and the act that they've performed with them. This is actually a pew from St. Paul's Chapel, which was near Ground Zero. As you can see, there's scuff marks because the firemen would work until they could literally not work anymore and then go into the church and fall asleep on the pews, and their boots would scuff up the pews. Firemen actually lost this camera at Ground Zero, but it was recovered weeks later when they actually were able to develop the film. These were the images on it. Gosh. This fire helmet recovered. Ground Zero, they don't know who it belonged to, but see, it's crushed. You can just imagine someone died wearing that helmet. Someone died being a hero wearing that helmet. I'll look down here is something really special. This is Chief, the firehouse dog. He was taken in as a stray, the New York Fire Department in 1929. He served on the fire department force for 10 years. He actually saved people's life. He would go into the fires. They said he was covered in burns and scald marks because he would rescue people. Literally, they say this dog saved literally dozens of people and even apparently saved a litter of kittens at one point. But sadly, I guess he was killed right out in front of the firehouse by a hit-and-run driver. But here he rests, preserved forever as the hero he was. Speaking of heroic taxidermy dogs, here in Central Park, we have a statue of Balto, the Wonder Dog. Now, I'm a little confused why there's a statue in New York, other than I feel like it was just, at the time, a massive, big deal. Balto was a sled dog that pulled medicine from the United States up to Nome, Alaska, and saved countless lives. And I've actually visited Balto, even though he died like 100 years ago. His taxidermied body is at a museum in Cleveland, Ohio. And if you want to check down in the description, I'll leave a link to that video. It's a pretty great statue. A little bigger than the real Balto, but still very, very impressive. Well, hey there, Random Abe. Look at this epic sculpture on this fence here. This is actually outside of the Dakota Hotel, most notoriously known as the home of John Lennon. John Lennon was shot here by his former fan, Mark David Chapman, as he came out of his home, who shot him because he felt that John Lennon no longer was keeping true to his roots and had become what he called a phony. They did, however, name the walkway right across the street in Central Park, Strawberry Fields, in remembrance of Mr. John Lennon. All right, so another day in the city that never sleeps. Unfortunately, unlike New York, I myself do require sleep. It's been fun, been crazy, been filming lots of good stuff. I'm very sore. This is a city that never stops walking. If I lived here, I might actually lose some weight because I've probably put more distance on my legs than I have any other city I've been in. But we're gonna get some sleep and we're gonna hit the ground running tomorrow. So for now, this one's in the bag.